you so much. Have a seat, everybody. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, one and all to The Late Show. I'm your host, Stephen Colbert. Look, I don't know about you, but I am still recovering from watching America's Next Top Justice last night. Did you watch the announcements? Everybody watch the announcement last night at 9 o'clock? I had a little drinking game. I would pour myself a drink every time my glass was empty. I won. Of course, last night the real winner was federal appeals court judge and cover model for Generic Dads Monthly, Brett Kavanaugh, which means I have Trump nomination bingo. See, it's all squares that say white guy. Yeah. I won, I think, and lost. That's great. It's not a hard game to play. Now, I don't know much about Kavanaugh, but I'm skeptical because his name is Brett. That sounds less like a Supreme Court justice and more like a waiter at Ruby Tuesdays. Hey, everybody, I'm Brett. I'll be your Supreme Court justice tonight. Before you sit down, let me just clear away these rights for you. Of course. Couple bed naps. Of course, his full name is Brett Michael Kavanaugh. So it is possible Trump thought he was nominated Poison lead singer and winner of Celebrity Apprentice, Bret Michaels. At least we'll know his stance on the landmark case of nothing via good time. Plus, Kavanaugh's 53 years old. That's 1 year younger than I am. I don't want some kid making constitutional decisions. I'm 54, and I still can't decide whether I'm Team Edward or Team Jacob. Kavanaugh grew up in Washington and went to school at Georgetown Prep, which is the same school attended by Trump's last nominee, Neil Gorsuch, which explains why Kavanaugh was voted second most likely to repeal Roe v. Wade. And that case is actually one of the big questions here, because some fear Kavanaugh would overturn Roe, while others hope Kavanaugh would overturn Roe. Either way, Kavanaugh took great pains last night to reassure us that he knows some women.
My mom was a trailblazer. The majority of my law clerks have been women. I have 2 spirited daughters. For the past 7 years, I have coached my daughter's basketball teams.
I own 3 Indigo Girls albums. My favorite boat is named after a woman. I have my own pair of traveling pants. I eat Jamie Lee Curtis poop yogurt. It makes you poop. It's not made of poo. Okay. Of course, Trump may have picked Kavanaugh for his position on a totally different issue, because back in 2009, Kavanaugh wrote that Congress should pass a law exempting a president while in office from criminal prosecution and investigation, including from questioning by criminal prosecutors or defense counsel. Little late, but So, Trump picked the guy who thinks presidents shouldn't be prosecuted. That's like Steph Curry picking the ref, and the ref previously ruled Warriors #1. Woo! Now, leave the president alone might seem to be an odd position from a guy like Kavanaugh, who worked for Ken Starr's investigation of Bill Clinton, but that was before Kavanaugh worked for George W. Bush. He explains, my chief takeaway from working in the White House for 5.5 years is that the job of president is far more difficult than any other civilian position in government. So, he thinks the president should be above the law because his job is hard. Well, in that case, I say moms of 3 or more kids ought to be able to murder at will. It's all in the new movie, The Purge, Mother's Day. Wake up, Daddy, you're dead. Kavanaugh is also a big supporter of the Second Amendment. In 2011, Kavanaugh found the Constitution protects ownership of semi-automatic rifles because semi-automatic rifles, like semi-automatic handguns, have not traditionally been banned and are in common use by law-abiding citizens. Well, just because something's in common use doesn't mean it's okay. For a while, lawn darts were in common use by law-abiding citizens, but then we banned them because kids came down with a bad case of spikehead. Prior to becoming a judge, Kavanaugh was involved in some of the biggest partisan fights of the last 20 years. For instance, he represented Elian Gonzalez, the boy who was taken by immigration back to Cuba. ¿Dónde está Elian? It is day 6,654. Remember when Republicans got upset when we tried to take one Hispanic child away from his family? Kavanaugh was also one of the lawyers representing Bush in Bush v. Gore and wrote much of the Starr Report. In fact, Kavanaugh's been so ubiquitous in the Republican legal establishment that he has been called the Forrest Gump of Republican politics. Yeah, which explains this recent interview he gave to Politico.
My mama always said life was like a box of chocolates. It begins at conception.
You know, quality. You know, in tough times like these, it's nice to get good news every now and again, and I am so happy to report that all 12 Thai boys and their coach have been rescued from the cave they've been trapped in for more than 2 weeks. Hey, that feels good. It's a great story that gives everyone hope, and it reminds us of the importance of permission slips for field trips to flooded caves. Everybody loves this story. Are you listening, Mr. President? Freeing children makes people like you. Meanwhile, the United States is still imprisoning thousands of migrant children that were taken from their parents. In a court ruling last month, the judge gave Trump until today to reunite all of the kids aged 5 and under with their parents. But the good guys over at ICE say that of the 102 such children now in custody, authorities have been able to identify and locate the parents of only 54, because when they separated the families, there was no reunification plan in place. So there are 48 toddlers still in cages. These kids would have a better chance of being reunited with their parents if they went spelunking with a Thai soccer coach. Even the plan for the kids who are being returned to the parents is unsettling. According to reports, in an effort to avoid media and protesters, staff at child detention centers have been instructed that they're to put the children in vans and take them to locations that are as yet unknown to them. So we're at the point, as a nation, where the good news is that the government is throwing kids into unmarked vans. Next, we're supposed to be cheering on America's heroic sewer clowns. But every detainee gets to go in front of an immigration court, including recently in Phoenix, when a 1-year-old had an appearance in front of an immigration judge who said, "I'm embarrassed to ask it, I don't know who you would explain it to, unless you think that a 1-year-old could learn immigration law." They better hope not. "Your Honor, I may be a simple country baby, but even I can tell that the rank smell of oppression is in the air, possibly because I made a boom boom in my ditty. Your Honor, permission to approach the bench for a fresh pair of Pampers. Perhaps a handful of Cheerios to work on my fine motor skills. Where is justice? Where is justice, I say, because justice rolled behind the couch and I lack object permanence." We've got a great show for you tonight.